Hello, welcome back to Sokobond Express. Alright, this is some pretty chill music actually. I like that. Today we're gonna be starting a new section. So yeah, from Epsilon we branched off to Eta and Theta, and in playing order I suppose Eta comes first. I'm almost certain in the Greek alphabet Eta comes first, so let's do that first. Alright, we have... These might be just challenge levels. I'm almost certain these are challenge levels. And the reason why I'm certain so is because Sokobond used to have challenge levels which are denoted by sort of darker versions of the colors. Obviously that's not how it works here, but you can see these are sort of disconnected from the rest of the chain. So I'm going to assume that these are challenge levels, generally because they don't introduce any new mechanic. Anyway, let's start. So, and this could be N with a double bond to O, followed by an OH bond. So like this, no, wait, what? Oh, it has to be an OOH bond. So it turns out that this actually forms a bond between them immediately. So, if I see that properly, the bond forms between N and O and then immediately between O and H as well. Alright, we got an achievement for triggering more than one bond in a single step. So that's not intended in this level at the very least, but it could be intended in future levels. So it's something like this. Oh, no, this bond is always going to happen. So it has to be the other way around. You have to bond to this first. Okay. Why don't I make space by doing something like this? That should work. Alright, so automatic bonding here. Most veggies are easy to chop, but onions can bring us to tears. Cutting them triggers a chemical reaction that releases an irritant in the air and our eyes. Alright, level 2. So this is like the same compound, but I can see if I did this, it will connect to none of them. Is it because of the confusion mechanic? Where it's too confused to bond with either of these? Yeah, it's confused. Okay, so that's why. But if I did something like this, oh no, that will form an automatic double bond. So, I mean, doesn't this break in all directions? I can't do that first. But I can't bond with O either because that just forms a straight up molecule. So I guess the first step has to be H then. That forms a full. Okay. Maybe this works? Yeah, this works actually, instead of this. And this fails because the N forms 3 bonds already, but doing this skips the N. So even though there is a bond formed here, there is no 3 bonds. And I guess it's interesting to note that there's only 1 bond formed here because instead of 2. Because the oxygen already forms a bond like here. So I can just walk over... I can walk around. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Scratching an itch is so satisfying. The good feeling comes from the chemical serotonin, which the brain produces to counteract the pain of fingernails grazing your skin. Happy drug? I think that's what it's called. Or no, that's oxytocin. Or is that the love drug? There is like our brain produces a bunch of hormones for different emotions. Is this for happiness? No, dopamine is for happiness. This might be for pleasure or relief or something like that. And there's one for love as well, which is pretty odd that, you know, we have a dedicated hormone for that. Okay, what does this do? This forms an automatic chain, which seems good, but it means we can't bond with the H here. So, does it make a difference where I bond? What do you do? Ah, yes it does. So... Alright, this seems to work, but doesn't because it gets us stuck. And I guess it's just choosing one that fits. Okay, this wouldn't fit either. I mean, I guess this would be the second one then. That's not true, is it? Or maybe it is true. Because doing this basically breaks. Like, no matter how you do this, you can't hit H here. Going to H itself is also not gonna work. Same for this side, like even though it's closer to H, it can't really go back down here after the bond is made. So our other two options are the end over here, which actually works, or the end down here. I guess it's more intuitive that it's the end down here, because that places this here, which makes it somewhat, you know, use less space, but that's not the solution, which is cool, I suppose. Okay, there you go. I'm not even bothered to figure out what molecule this forms, but maybe I want to see how the automatic bonding figures out this solution. So like, at this point, when H bonds here, it forms one bond, right? I guess because it forms one bond, this end is not confused. I can form one bond with each of these. Yeah, that should be it, right? This forms a bond here, and because this has two electrons remaining, it forms a double bond with O. Yeah, alright, that is a solution. Okay, trying to understand how that works. Cat is famous for putting kitties into euphoric states, but not all cats can feel its effects. If your kitty loves their nip, then they've inherited a genetic sensitivity to it. Like our... what is it? Our genetic perception of taste of coriander, I guess, from a previous level. Cool. Good information. Alright, so... alright, let's continue. What is going up to? That forms a single bond, but because you are confused, this breaks. Okay, so going up just fails. What about this? This forms an automatic double bond. And symmetrically, this also works. What if it were a double bond like this? Then a full bond can form. But I can't go in here because the O can't bond now. Okay. What about the other way around? That almost forms, but isn't this a full molecule? It is a full molecule, so that breaks. What if this? Then it's also a confused state. In fact, any single bond bonding with O is a confused state. So like, wouldn't this sort of... no, because it's from its full molecule, I see. So it has to be with the N. Like this. But this sort of fails, right? And can I change that? Maybe this works better. Yeah, because I can now go around and that forms a bond like that. Cool. What a very interesting molecule. Keeping cool is a lot harder in humid weather. Usually water and sweat evaporates, taking the heat energy with it. If it's humid, the air is already full of water, so sweat has nowhere to go. Yeah, it's one of the few things that affects the rate of evaporation besides temperature and wind. And well, wind is actually just lack of humidity because all the water gets dried away. That's not entirely true though. If there's wind and like zero humidity, it works better than zero humidity and no wind. Clearly, because all the water vapor that comes out gets blown away by the wind. Alright, 8 out of 5. Huge board here. That forms its own bond, but I don't know how practical this might be. What if we're an N that does it? It forms a full molecule. Okay. This just forms a full molecule consistently. I have a feeling that what the solution actually would be is a sandwich of all 4 oxygens. It's like it's N sandwiching 4 oxygens. Because right now it seems like we're missing 1 and the result is an N here and 3 oxygens in the center. Actually that's not true, there's an N here and an N here. That's where the triple bonds are. So maybe it's actually oxygen, nitrogen, 2 oxygens, nitrogen and oxygen again. That seems plausible. Which means that this... well, this might work. I just need to make sure I can somehow hit this guy and come back. So maybe this is fine? No, I can't hit that. So it has to be something else. Maybe around the back? No, the back is even worse. Yeah, okay, I don't think that anything works really well here. Maybe this has to be the first thing that happens. But then now this can't form any bond because that forms a full molecule. What that might imply is that after this, you have to collect both of these oxygens and then this and then come back. Which seems pretty tough, but you know, you can end like this, I guess, go around it, which allows you to come into here. So like, I could try going in here. I do need to settle my position first though, like this might work better. No. Maybe this. Yeah, maybe this is better because it puts this at the bottom. It is kind of a problem, so maybe this is fine. Yeah, that works. Not really, but it sort of works. No, that breaks. Okay. So I was wrong in saying that we need to collect both oxygens. You only collect one oxygen, then form the ON chain here. If it connects directly to N, that breaks. But if it connects to O first, then it's fine. So this doesn't work because it connects to N directly, and there's no way of changing that. And this breaks, yeah. So it has to be the ON after this. Yeah, but this doesn't really work though. Like, does it? I can't really get this to bond afterwards. Okay. But does this work? I mean, it does. It does. So like after this, I can collect an oxygen, then a nitrogen. But we kind of proved that this doesn't really work because going this way doesn't let the N bond. So maybe it's this way instead. Yeah, so what I can do is after this... after this... No, because it's even... This is the same problem, isn't it? Yeah, it's the same problem. This N has to bond like... Has to form a bond either to our above or the side, I think? That's not entirely true. But generally that's what I think is the case here. And I'm doing this... I need to leave space for this, you know. But right now it doesn't seem to be possible. Maybe this is fine. Yeah, maybe this is actually better. Yes, that actually looks better. Okay, I gotta go around the outside so that this bond forms. This breaks though because, yeah, because our end goal, nothing can actually be outside the playing area. So this fails. So, wait, so is our initial solution already wrong? Yes. Because no matter what we do from here, it's always gonna do that. So our initial solution is already wrong. Could something like this work? No, that's one's a double bond. You have to start with nitrogen first. So all of these side solutions are wrong. Which means a direct bond here, here, or here fails instantly. And we can't bond this way, so that proves that we have to bond this end first. And that's forced. We can do it from either direction though, the top or the left. But we're not sure which one is better. Maybe not something like that. Maybe something like this instead works better. No, but if I did that... Yeah, but it just feels like so much of a issue to get there. Maybe I have to go the other way. Yeah, maybe this way is somewhat better. Because I can do this, right? Okay, this does fail for a few reasons. Like, because it puts so many things underneath us. In fact, nothing can be below us either. So this just doesn't work. It must be something like... whoa, what? Okay, well if that doesn't work, then something above, maybe? Yeah, okay, this would work as a product. Would this work? No, this puts too many things above us. So maybe on the side? No, that doesn't work. Okay, maybe like this is a better choice here. That nothing can go below us. This? No, this puts one atom a bit too far away. It has to be something up below, right? Actually, that's not true. I can do this. Wow. Why is that useful? I don't think this is useful though. Right? Oh, that does form a full molecule. Wow. Oh, right, because this goes... Okay. Yeah, but this fails as well because I still put something above us. So... It doesn't feel right either. Maybe this is fine? No, because we have something to attach to the N over there. Because doing this gets us stuck. And doing this prevents the end from bonding to it. Yeah. This is quite close to working, but not really. Either that or I can have this bond first. This kind of already fails, so either that or this. This actually might be somewhat better. The only issue is it blocks us off. So I guess not. Which makes this the next valid option, right? But both of these fail. Like this fails because it goes too low, and the other one fails because it goes too far left. And I can't avoid this. Maybe I can do that. Ah, I can. Alright, cool. Alright, so it's a mix of both solutions where you bond in this direction but you go around it like that. Okay, what a puzzle. Cool. Okay. Those glowing signs you see in places like Las Vegas are called neon lights. Neon gas gives off a reddish orange tint, so if you see neon lights in other colors, they are using other gases. Yeah. Xenon is green, I think? Actually, I'm not sure. One of them is green, one of them is blue. You have argon, krypton, and other colors. I think krypton is purple, I think. I'm not entirely sure though. Alright, that is one section done. Decently fast compared to the previous section, which took us like about 30 minutes. Alright, let's go to the next section and learn something new there. Data. Now this... Alright, is this the... Okay, this doesn't solve it. But it teaches you about the fact that bonds are formed equally. So what actually happens here is that it doesn't form a direct bond with oxygen or carbon. Instead, it forms one bond each. But probably what I want to do is something like this instead. Yeah. Form carbon dioxide. Fireworks get their bright colors from metal salts in the rockets. Green comes from barium, or reds are usually made of strontium, and copper gives us blues and purples. Magnesium gives us green, I think. And oh no, is that iron? I think iron gives us green and red, because that's the color of iron. Iron ions. I think so. And then yeah, magnesium is one of the metals that also give us colors in fireworks. Talking about a lot of colors today. Talking a lot about colors today. Cool. Alright. So, okay, this forces us to move forward, which breaks because that leaves a double electron in nitrogen. So this is clearly wrong. To go up, maybe? That was an instantaneous double bond, but I think just doing this is fine. No, that puts things outside of the play area. Maybe around is better. No, that also leaves that double bond. Maybe down here, maybe? Yeah, I think that seems to work. There you go. Alright, banknotes use lots of chemical techniques to thwart counterfeiters. For example, many designs use fluorescent ink or fibers to create elements that glow in UV light. Yes. Does that make them cheaper than their stated value? I don't know. Like, I think our notes in Singapore have like that feature. We also have other features in our notes where like, there's this shiny little section of our notes here that kind of shimmer and shimmer a bit when you shine them under light. I'm not sure what exactly this. No, it's not really. It's kind of just transparent paper. But yeah, transparency is a great way to ensure printer money isn't made. Clearly because you can't print transparency onto white paper. So that's one of the techniques they use. Besides that, UV rays also work though, but I'm almost certain that these make nodes slightly greater in value. Yeah, probably not as high as their stated value though. Cause yeah. Alright. Next up. Oh, finally one of each element. All 4 colors. And the element or the object produced here should be a double bond with oxygen, a double bond with nitrogen, and then a single bond with hydrogen, like so. Although I'm pretty sure there might be other ways for this to work out. Actually, no, that's not true. Yeah, that's not true. Maybe this works. Alright, this works. I don't know what this was trying to teach us. But okay, you know what? Because nitrogen goes besides the carbon, right? Yeah, I was wondering if you had a non-full full compound carbon here, you moved it in here, would it bond to oxygen and nitrogen? Possibly? That's possible, but not the solution here. There you go. That is one of each. Painkillers like ibuprofen don't actually know where your pain is. They just feel like they do because as they spread throughout your body, they can only act on inflamed areas. I mean, isn't that kind of how pain works? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, different kinds of pain work different ways. So I guess some painkillers probably wouldn't work on different types of pain. Because what? Pain is a signal, right? Yeah, pain is a signal. So like, if your brain is just being injected with pain signals, ibuprofen won't really help because there wouldn't be any inflamed areas to work on. Whoa, that's 3 whole sections coming out of that. Okay, theta, number 4. Okay, big board. We should be fine here though. That's wrong. Okay, what the heck is going on? Carbon, carbon, nitrogen. A direct bond with nitrogen just fails because this forms your cyanide, which is a pretty common molecule in the previous game. So after carbon, is it just another hydrogen? What happens then? A double bond? No, this doesn't work. After this, could you then bond with nitrogen? Yes, and then a bond with carbon and then a triple bond with nitrogen. That's one way to do it. Is there any other way to do it? What if I went with nitrogen first? Nitrogen and carbon, then nitrogen. That wouldn't work because then carbon would have 4 things to bond with. So, okay. Instead, let's try maneuvering it around so that I can just do this immediately. Carbon with carbon. After a nitrogen, you can then form another carbon bond, I guess. After nitrogen, you can form another hydrogen carbon bond, which would solve. So we have 2 options here. I actually did not recognize either of them. But I can try writing down the options that I could have if I had a marker that worked. So just to write down the solution here, this one is a hydrogen bonded with a nitrogen, double bonded with a carbon, double bonded with a nitrogen, bonded with a hydrogen. Wait, no, it's 2 carbons in between, followed by a nitrogen, followed by a hydrogen. That's one of the solutions. So what's the other solution we tried? If I started with carbon first? Yeah. Carbon first into another hydrogen, because it's the only thing we can bond with. That's not true, we can bond with another carbon, but I don't think that's necessary. Yeah, so this is another way it works, is if hydrogen bonded to a carbon, which bonded to another hydrogen and a nitrogen, which then double bonded to a nitrogen, which then single bonded to a carbon, which then triple bonded to a nitrogen. So those are 2 possible solutions right now. I'm not sure what I can build towards, but we'll try. Let's try the nitrogen one first. So like a solid chain seems to be the easier thing to do here. So we start with nitrogen, followed by carbon. Okay. Now, other hydrogen is last, but that doesn't seem like a problem to us, for us. Oh, and this is where the problem is. Can I do this in any other way? Like this, maybe? No, because this bonds to a hydrogen too early. This is the one that didn't work, or is this the one that didn't work? This is the one that didn't work, so this is the one that should work, maybe? No, this is the one that didn't work. Wait, what? So this is the one that might work? This gives us space. Not enough space. Oh? Oh, never mind. Alright. Yeah, not enough space. We can almost finish the chain here, but there isn't enough space. There is enough space to sort of maneuver your molecule around slightly, but you can't go in any other way. Okay. What about this? Have we tried this? Yes, it's just not possible because hydrogen joins too early. Could I try this nitrogen for some reason? I mean, we probably have to go around this, so like, I don't think this works. Alright, well in that case, let's try the carbon method. That will form one carbon bonded with another hydrogen. And then a double bond with... no. So like this, maybe? No, this doesn't work. Maybe going around the back works though. Nope. Oh no, there's empty space here. Okay, but otherwise we need to bond to carbon down there, which fails. Another option is to go down this way. Problem with that is that how do I can do this now, but how do I do anything else after this? Maybe I can still do this. That's a nitrogen. No, I need to bond to a... Yeah, I do need to bond to a nitrogen. But this fails, right? Because it goes too far out. So like, maybe something else? Maybe like this? Doesn't really seem to want to work either. This is kind of close, but not really. Bonding below is not good, so maybe bonding above is better. Nope. Well, in that case, then why not I do the I try and bond to the side here? Not quite. Maybe this is fine for some reason. Is there any other solution to bond these guys up? Maybe? I really don't want to do this though. This kind of forces something bad. I feel like there is no solution. After this, you have to bond to either another carbon. Does this make any sense here? Maybe. Like, I guess that also works. What's another solution that works is hydrogen to a carbon, triple bonded with another carbon, bonded with a nitrogen, double bonded with a nitrogen, and then to a hydrogen. That's another solution. But the carbons feel so far away. But I don't see it not working. So we could try that. Oof. That is our issue. It might be resolvable if I try it the other way. There's just too much space though. Like how, no. Nope. Okay. Well, another thing I can try is this could be the one that bonds to the nitrogens first. Because I started with carbons, you can actually do the same solution just backwards. So let's try the 2 nitrogens first, I guess. That's really odd because how do I actually get through this without breaking anything? It seems pretty unlikely for this to work out. Yeah. What? Okay. Maybe the origin solution of the N to C works better. Ooh, hey. Oh, okay. Well, this doesn't work for a few reasons. Oh, never mind. Do I have it? Wait, what? What is not being bonded here? So there's like 6 molecules, but I missed out one somewhere. Oh, I just missed out the entire N. Okay, no wonder. I have to go down. But this doesn't work because like, even if I did solve it, right, this would go below me. So in fact, this kind of just doesn't work at all. Yeah, for many reasons it doesn't work. Okay. Well, now that we also know that nothing can be below my position, maybe something else can help us solve the puzzle here. Nothing can be below my position, which is very interesting for multiple reasons. Like, this just doesn't work. I don't see how this makes a difference. Yeah, what? I'm just very confused at this particular setup. I'm just trying a lot of things, but I don't think any of them are really working out. Yeah, okay. Is there any other way of doing this? I don't know, maybe? Maybe there is. If it were N with 2 H's, then that might be plausible somewhat. Okay. Let's try N bonded with 2 H's. Something like that could happen. I'm just saying. So what can happen is N can bond with H, form a single bond with another H, form a double bond, form a single bond with C, and then form another triple bond with C. Wait, no, it doesn't work. Why would I think that works? No, that doesn't work. No, this just doesn't seem to work. There's too many bonds remaining. It's like a single N bond to like another N bond requires a double bond somewhere. And then it just doesn't want to work out. It's also possible we somehow form a loop of some kind, but in this state it's not possible either because now the well, I can't really say for sure, but the molecules just seem too far apart for any loop to be physically possible. So yeah, maybe it is though. Maybe that's a gimmick. It would be possible to form a loop. Wasn't there one level that was about loops? How could you even form a loop though? Like, I mean, it is possible, I guess. How it will work is N and C form a loop, and then H appends to the C's. But like, that's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Not impossible, but very ridiculous. Because how are these guys gonna ever form a loop? Well, what could happen is a shape like this. No. Yeah, because if you want to do this, right, you gotta somehow have C not form a full bond yet. It's gonna form 3 bonds and it's gonna fail. Right? But what else can it bond to? It can't bond to another C because it will also form 3 bonds. Yeah. This is just all below me now. I don't like that. Oh wow, this works. Oh my god, this works. I just randomly drew a line and it worked out. Okay, so all my previous thinking was for nothing. It just works out. And is this even the molecule I was looking for? No, I don't think it was. This is just a random molecule that exists, I guess. Anyway, water is vital for our survival because it facilitates all of the chemical reactions that take place inside our bodies. Pretty typical hints. Alright, let's see what they wanted from us. Well, I mean, it's sort of the same idea, it's just that this H was above us, so... I mean, I guess... Yeah, alright, it's the same thing, I guess. Alright, what was that? Level 5. Okay, is this any easier or is this like way harder for some reason? This looks like a similar level we've seen before. Isn't this like this or something? Yeah, it's the exact same combination. So would it be the same? Would it be the same? Would it be the same product? Maybe. We still have N though. So like this can happen. Maybe this is what we want now. I can so like look, I can now form a loop. That's a loop. And this allows this to happen because O can form 2 bonds each. So that's why a loop can happen. Possibly not. I don't think that's why I want a loop to happen though. Does this work? Yes, but under very specific circumstances that are the N has to go right here. So you have to basically go straight in like this, which right now isn't actually possible. So you have to find some other way for this to work out, I think. But maybe that's what we want, right? I would think that that's a good way to end off this world, this section. It just doesn't seem very easy to do this. But yeah, because like from here, right, how can you actually reach this end? The best way to do that is by doing this. That's the only way you can reach end straight on. So you need a U shape like that if I wanted to do that. Can I make that happen? And I do want to note that the end has to be in the center as well. The end has to be in the center as well. So I need something to my left and something to my right, basically. But that only works if this happens. Because that's the only thing that lets there be single bonds. So now the problem is that because to form this loop I needed a U shape, I needed to make this a horizontal 3 in a row. But now we can only make a vertical 3 in a row. So I don't think that's how it works. I think we still have to revert back to the old structure. It's like this, and then we form a couple, form a chain here. Yeah, something like that. This maybe? No, it's confused. Okay, that's confusion. I don't think we like that. Maybe this works better for us? Maybe. Yeah, I think, yes? No? Yes? No? No. It doesn't seem to work much better for us. Nope. Okay, something else? Something else perhaps. Maybe not a straight line, maybe a vertical. Verticals can exist here because I don't exist the edge. Maybe this works? No, this forms the exact same problem. So this oxygen just can't be on my top right. Like that just kind of fails. And then this breaks. Yeah. So anywhere else? Maybe I don't go here first, maybe I go up here first? Doesn't seem right. I need to form 3 oxygens with me before I hit the other nitrogen. Otherwise it's gonna form... yeah, otherwise it's gonna not work out. Okay, so what if I did something like this? Nope. Okay, not like this then. This? Oh, no, that almost works, but it's just a bit too far away. So this is a product that can exist, just we need to find a way to make it fit. Like this almost doesn't, this doesn't actually fit. So actually nothing can really go there. Which is a shame, because at this point nitrogen has to be either here or here, which would break no matter what. So this doesn't work either. Okay, what about this? This doesn't work, right? Yeah, this is too far. This breaks. Okay. Is there any reason why this would fit? I don't think so. No. Maybe this comes first. That's a confused state. Would this work in any case? Like besides forming the triple the other thing? I mean, yeah, because in this case, right, there has to be 3 atoms here, one to form a bond with each of these, and those 3 have to be these 3 atoms, right? And so the only way you can put that, have that work is end in the center, because L on the side wouldn't have enough places to bond. So I'm gonna guess this doesn't work. Does this work? Oh, that works. Alright, there you go. More trial and error. Yippee. Diamonds are more in common with pencils than gemstones because diamonds and graphite are both forms of carbon. The only difference is the way the atoms connect up. Yep, graphite is layers of hexagonal lattices of carbon, which is why they sort of like slide over paper so easily. That's also why graphite is normally used as lubricant sometimes. Diamond, however, is a tetrahedral. Is it tetrahedral? Something like that. Like each carbon forms bonds with 4 other carbons exactly. Whereas graphite is actually, each carbon forms 3 bonds with other carbons and then some electrons fly around. So that makes the diamond structure a lot stronger. But the extra electrons flying around graphite also allows it to conduct electricity, interestingly. Which is why pencil lead can sometimes conduct electricity. Alright, that was a fun fact. Next up we're going to be doing iota. So, cool. 2 more sections done this episode. That is decent progress. Actually, I do want to see the... Okay, the solution is almost... In fact, it is like a mirror image of our solution. So that works, I guess. Alright. So yeah, next episode we'll do iota. Until then though, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.